Our last two videos are going to focus on metamorphic rocks, looking at how they change or metamorphose and what that tells us about their environments. Metamorphic rocks form when we have a parent or a pre-existing rock that's going to be transformed or metamorphosed into a new type of rock. And generally, this parent rock is changed by some change in its environment, whether it's a physical or chemical change. Usually this change is related to some kind of increased heat or pressure. So we're going to see that metamorphism generally occurs inside of the earth where we have more heat and pressure, which can change those parent rocks into something new. But metamorphism isn't unique because it happens on an incremental basis. It happens a little bit at a time and constantly changes that pre-existing parent rock. So a low-grade metamorphism is when that rock has only had slight changes to it, whereas high-grade metamorphism, we have substantial changes from what that rock now looks like from what it did as the original parent rock. Depending on the metamorphic grade, our metamorphic rocks are going to look very different from one another. If we look at the upper half of this image, we're looking at low-grade metamorphism. We're going to go from a parent rock and we're going to apply just a little bit of heat and pressure and metamorphose it into a new metamorphic rock. So here with low-grade metamorphism, we're basically just more tightly packing all of the sediments inside of it into a more condensed state. But here on the bottom, we're looking at a higher grade metamorphosis. Now, instead of just a little bit of heat and pressure, we're talking about intense heat and pressure inside of the earth. Now, instead of just compacting that rock into a smaller area, it's going to compact it and deform it. It's going to cause it to form layers of alternating bands of light and dark minerals. So, depending on how much heat and pressure it's exposed to, it could be low grade, or with intense heat and pressure, it can be high grade and significantly alter the way that rock looks. There are dozens of ways that metamorphism can occur, but in this class we're just going to focus on the two most common ones, which are called contact metamorphism and regional metamorphism. Contact happens because a rock is in direct contact with magma. That magma is incredibly hot, so it's literally going to bake the rock that's in contact with it. Think about burning the bottom of cookies. It's in contact with that hot metal baking sheet. But our second common type of metamorphism is regional metamorphism. And this one doesn't have as much to do with heat as it does with pressure. And this one generally happens when mountain building occurs. When we're forcing two gigantic rocks together, the pressure on a regional or a large scale is going to change the rocks. So in addition to our two types of metamorphism, we're going to see that there are a lot of different things that can cause metamorphism, or be an agent of metamorphism, as the book calls it. And two of these agents are heat and pressure. So heat is going to cause chemical reactions and cause minerals to recrystallize. Think about how the heat of boiling water is going to take my egg and turn it into a hard-boiled egg by changing the chemistry of it. So we see that heat can change a rock, but pressure can change a rock as well. So think about squeezing something. But we can have two different types of pressure, or two different ways to squeeze something. The first of which is called confining pressure. And this is where we're going to have equal pressure pushing in all directions because of it's being buried. So with confining pressure, it's just going to make something smaller. It's not going to affect the shape of it, just the size. But we have another type of pressure that's called differential stress. With differential stress, which we can see here on the bottom of the image, we have pressure coming in from two directions, from the left and the right, more than the other directions. This is going to cause a change in shape in the rock, which we call deformation. We're deforming the shape. So the rocks are going to respond to this pressure and being forced to change their shape by either breaking or by bending.